Hello there. A health emergency has been declared regarding an outbreak of Guillain-Barré syndrome. And just like the UK excess deaths, it's not being widely reported. An outbreak of Guillain-Barré syndrome has sparked the imposition of a 90-day health emergency in Peru. 191 cases of this syndrome have been recorded, of which 31 remain hospitalised and 4 of them have sadly been fatal as of 2 days ago. And this, according to Peruvian authorities, is an unusual increase in cases. So a sanitary emergency was announced in Peru on the 8th of July. But now compare that response to us here in the UK. Here in the UK, we continue to see a large amount of excess deaths across the country week after week, with not one official eyebrow raised. And more on that in a minute. Now, Guillain-Barré syndrome, or GBS, is a rare neurological disorder where the body is prompted to attack its own nerve system outside of the spinal cord and brain, something that can lead to total paralysis of the body in extreme cases. And from my reading, there is no known cure and it is not contagious or inherited, and the cause of it remains unclear. But it is one of the recorded adverse effects to a recent medical intervention, with Peru having an 84% sleeves fully rolled up rate. Now, Peru has a population of just under 34 million people, and the UK has a population of 67 million, which is just about twice the size. But Peru uses their health statistics to initiate a response to 191 cases and 4 unexpected deaths. Now, where are we on this sort of thing in the UK? During the week ending the 30th of June, week 26 of 2023, the latest ONS figures show that 11,763 people passed away. But that was 8.8% higher than the 5-year average, which was 950 people dying over and above the 5-year average. That's 950 excess deaths in 1 week. In 1 week. And that comes after many, many weeks of similar figures. Just look at this updated graph for the whole of 2023. The first full 6 months of the year. Everything above the 0 level is the percentage of excess deaths that week, and everything below the 0 line is where not as many people passed away as expected. Now, what does that graph tell you? And look at the average for the year so far. 7.9% excess deaths over the first 6 months of the year. And that average level appears so far to be pretty consistent. Every week that I look at this stuff, I'm hoping to see it gradually disappear. But even if it does ebb away, the excess still springs back again. Now, as I've said before, this is the equivalent of having a 9/11 incident in the UK every 3 to 4 weeks throughout the year. But no one is lifting a finger to investigate it or to trying to explain it. It's almost as if the establishment, that's the government, officials, opposition and the press, all want the lid kept firmly on this story. Why? Now, Peru sparks a response for 4 deaths out of a population of 34 million. That's for 0.0000018% of their population. But here in the UK we have, in 1 week, 950 excess deaths out of a 67 million population. That's 0.0014% of our population. And no response at all. No questions about why no investigation. No questions about a possible unknown disease. No questions about diet. No questions about people starving to death because of austerity or other social issues. No questions at all. Not even from His Majesty's official opposition, not a peep. Now, as there has been no establishment response to these excess deaths, I take it that the cause is non-transmissible. But there must be a cause, so surely an investigation should be launched. No. While these excess deaths continue week after week, month after month, the UK press is more engaged with normalising the sordid antics of a BBC news presenter, and now even trying to portray him as some sort of victim. It's driven him to hospital, we're told, so we must all be forgiving of him, etc., etc., etc. Now, had that been a GB News presenter, the lefty press would have gleefully splashed the perpetrator's name on their front pages from day one, and a lefty MP would almost certainly have called out the name in Parliament under parliamentary privilege had the press not been quickly forthcoming with that name. It would have been a relentless campaign with wall-to-wall 24/7 coverage. Be in no doubt of that. Anyway, back to UK excess deaths. Now, I'm not calling for a health emergency. No, like the Reclaim MP Andrew Bridgen, I'm calling for an investigation. And like him, I'm also demanding that we do not sign up to any treaty that hands our health emergency response over to an international body, however august that body is. And at least Bridgen is questioning it.
Can the Minister confirm, will this House get a vote on the amendments to the international health regulations, or will we not?
Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, should the UK Government wish to accept an IHR amendment, changes to domestic law to reflect proposed obligations may indeed be required, and the Government would therefore prepare draft legislation before Parliament in the usual way. But let me repeat, Mr. Speaker, in all circumstances, the sovereignty of the UK Parliament would remain unchanged, and the UK would retain control of any future decisions around national public health measures.
Now, don't let the answer the Health Minister Will Quince gave mislead you in any way. The UK Parliament, by its very nature, is sovereign in these lands. It can, if it decides to, rip up and or ignore any international agreement it wishes to. And nothing the UK government signs up to can change that. But what it comes down to is, would the UK government and Parliament ignore or rip up such an agreement? And the answer to that is no. The UK government will sign us up to these IHR changes, and they will change domestic law as required to reflect that, all without our permission. And then at the next health emergency, they will receive the instructions from the relevant international body, change it into UK law and implement it, just as we did with all the rules emanating from Brussels prior to Brexit. Our government will never argue with it. It will obey and enforce the incoming rules. And I would suspect they would do that even if it broke other agreements, like the Nuremberg Code that covers informed consent for medical trials, for example. The repercussions of signing up to this could be catastrophic for us, especially as there is no opposition to this, apart from one lone MP, it seems. The Westminster uniparty system is now firing on all cylinders, and the worst is yet to come.